What's going on, guys? Shredder issue 5. This has not been a series I've at all enjoyed. I don't even know if I enjoyed the first issue. I've been just kind of keeping up with it just for the sake of, seeing if anything improves, if anything catches my eye, any kind of story beats that might be related to the mainline series, and things like that. Also, just kind of wanted to share my thoughts. I mean, not everything that I read is going to be complete winners here. So I just wanted to see this whole thing through. So just to kind of try and sum up everything that we got, Shredder is back. He has encountered a new villain, or at least antagonist, named the Mourner, and she is apparently going to use a bomb. Now, Shredder got put into custody through Darkwater, and the custody is just he wanted to be there, and he is, for whatever reason, wanting to utilize their assets, even though he can do all of this on his own. That's been a point of criticism that I have been going on and on about. He doesn't need these people at all, but continues to use them, especially Agent Avon, which I've made. I've not been hiding the fact that I am not a fan of hers. She constantly disrespects the man, and he does nothing about it. He just allows it to happen, and I said that is definitely character breaking. So they made a trip over to Japan, and that was not fruitful. They already found that the Mourner had been there, and so now they're heading back, and we've seen that the Mourner has taken over the Darkwater headquarters. And so that's where we're going to continue here. Looking at our cover here, this beastly thing, I don't know if that is ever going to be a thing. I can already tell you, it is not currently in this book, so I'm not sure if this is going to be at all relevant, or we just wanted to put some cool creature for Shredder to ride. This demon back here, I do believe that is what we will find later in this cover, or in this book. So we have Chapter 5, Butcher's Blade. Our writer is Dan Waters, and our artist is Michelle Bandini. And so they're still in their plane, making their way to New York, and Avon is noticing that even though she's supposed to check in with Darkwater every 3 hours, she hasn't heard back from them in over 12, and finds that a little bizarre. Shredder has taken this moment. He's like, "Hey, Avon, would you like to hear the story of what led up to my being in your custody?" And she said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" He's like, "All right, so there was a battle long ago, and I lost my beloved Kinsun and everybody that was with her. I was then put on in like Dimension Z and put on basically guard duty for a prisoner, this demon over here." And hold on, let me see if I can even attempt the name. Noi Tai Dar. And I'm just going to refer to it as the demon from here on, because I am not going to remember that. And he quickly finds out that the demon's only in custody because he wants to be. It amuses him. And it's much like why Shredder would be at Darkwater. He allows it to happen. But the demon quickly starts showing just how much power he's got within this prison, and starts turning all of his surroundings into like worms. And I think that's why Shredder keeps having those flashes of worms every time. And so he's turning everything to worms and just beating the hell out of Shredder. Just asserting his dominance right here. Is like, you are in charge of guarding me, but I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. And you know what? I'm going to show you what it's like to be a god. And so he like pulls him up, and I guess this is him starting to show Shredder what a deity sees. And so you see like his skin of the demon starts to change, and these are worms now. Once again, all about worms. And while he's like in the grasp of this demon, he starts reflecting. He's like, this must be what Kinsun sees, and I am like next to nothing to her. If she does love me, it is like the love a butcher has for his blade. You know, basically has its uses and is also somewhat useful at times. You know, it's not useful at all times. And that must be how Kinsun sees me. And he's just like, as he's being consumed by all these worms, he's like, well, you know what? Fuck it. If I'm going to be a tool, I'm going to be a dangerous tool and just start shredding up all these worms, which is kind of the hand of this demon. And so he's just slashing until he says he hits something that's bone-like. And that's at least enough for the demon to let go of the grasp. And once again, using the butcher comparison, says that it's basically the same as if the butcher nicked himself with his own blade. That's what he is comparing himself to this demon, where he just kind of nicks the hand of the demon and allows him to let go of Shredder, and then Shredder teleports into our current world in our dimension. And I'm going to stop right there. That just seemed like a load of gobbledygook. Like, I just don't understand that. He's in Dimension Z. He's watching a demon. The demon's like, hey, by the way, I can just, you can be my plaything at this point. You have no power over me. And then Shredder decides to go ahead and give him essentially a paper cut on his hand and makes him drop Shredder. And he just so happens to fall through a portal that goes to our dimension. And not only that, but it appears as though he also lands in New York. What are the fucking odds any of that happens? Like, none of that makes sense. So that is just straight gobbledygook. So moving on, Avon is like, okay, so why are you telling me this? And he says, well, because you're not getting any kind of contact with Darkwater, it seems pretty obvious that the Mourner's taken over. And I wanted to give you this so you can know that I survived having my mind, my heart, and my reality shattered, and I survived. And whatever's in store for us, we can survive that too. So I guess just kind of lifting her spirits. Again, don't know why he tolerates her, but I'm okay with this largely. But just then, King Cobra goes ahead and launches a missile at their plane, and man, how does King Cobra know that that's their plane? They're in New York. JFK is right there, so there's a lot of air traffic. How is this one plane? How does he know that that is his proper target? That seems very lucky, with no way of letting us know how, in fact, he has any of this information. But needless to say, fires a rocket. It lands, blows a big old hole in the back of the plane. They go down into the water. Shredder and Avon manage to survive. The pilot, not so lucky. As we see, he's drowning there. And then we see the side hatch open, and we see Shredder's eyes. I kind of like that little shot there of just the ominous Shredder eyes. Now, King Cobra, he's over there telling his men just kind of wait. There's no way that explosion got Shredder, and that he wants to repay the favor that Shredder gave to his face by removing Shredder's face and using it for his own. I guess he's got a guy that is going to hook him up with a new face. And so just telling him be vigilant and just be ready for the air bubbles to reveal where he's at. And while he's going on and on, all of Shredder's men are disappearing behind him. Now, I counted, there's 7 guys back there. They're on a rooftop that doesn't provide a whole lot of coverage, and they're all just standing side by side with one another, or in very close proximity. I understand Shredder's like super ultra master ninja here, but he can be silent. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be silent. They're all holding weapons and stuff like that. That's got to make clanks on the ground. It's just a couple of guys, sure, maybe I could see that being a stealthy kill, but not a single one of these guys alerted the others until like the last guy goes down and he reaches out to King Cobra and is like, hey, by the way, I'm dead. I'm over here. I'm dying. Help me out, guy. But then, yeah, Shredder's like, hey, by the way, I can hold my breath for a very long time, and I'm already behind you. Whoopsie daisy on your part. King Cobra swings his gun around. Shredder just goes ahead and disarms him. And he goes on to say, so what's all that about my face? And then we cut away. Later, Shredder's catching up with Avon as he puts away a souvenir, as he says. And they agree that they need to get to the Darkwater headquarters. They notice some of the foot mystics also heading that way, and Shredder's like, hey, you know what? I'll draw them off, and then we'll meet up at the headquarters there. And I did kind of like this part. She goes, well, there's an awful lot of them. He's just like, bitch, do you not know who I am? So I like that part a little bit. That little stare that he gives, like, come on, man. So we then go into Darkwater headquarters, and we see Colonel Knight is, in fact, still alive. And he's talking with the Mourner and says, once Shredder gets here, he's going to kill us both. And she disagrees. She says, he's going to adore me. And he's like, with what, this bomb? She's like, this is no bomb. This is a cosmic defibrillator. And it's going to restart the heart of the universe, whatever that means. And so we get a little bit of a montage of Shredder being a badass. And again, I like this. We're watching him just taking out some of these Mystic Foot Clan guys. And they're all in Times Square. And so there is a news crew nearby. Catches this. And we see the Turtles. I believe this is the very first time we've seen the Turtles in this series. And they're now catching wind that Shredder is alive. Now, I'm not exactly certain where we are in the timeline. This is our mainline series. We could tell by Donnie's looking a little thin back here. Leo's got his little scar on his eye. So this is our current mainline, guys. I don't see Splinter anywhere, so I don't know if this is prior to the Ujigame, which then makes me wonder, okay, if it is before Splinter comes back, why have they not said anything about Shredder in the meantime? Like, why has that not been something he's been updated with, especially given their history? Or if this is post Splinter and the Ujigame, where is he? Is he out doing things, or what's going on here? So I'm a little confused here. Plus, currently it also looks like Donnie had gotten a little bit more fit, where he looks a bit thin right here still. So this kind of leads me to believe that this is all before Splinter, and so now I just kind of wonder, why are we not informing Splinter of Shredder being back? Does he die in this series again, or what's going on here? But yeah, Shredder continues kicking foot soldier ass, and then he's cornered by two police officers, and in order to get beyond one of them, he throws the face of Cobra King at one of the officers, and while he's distracted, dispatches the other officer before finishing off Mr. Two-Face over here. Again, this is more in line with Shredder, as I know. Like, this dude is so fucking savage. He throws a face of somebody else onto an officer to distract him. That is so grotesque, and I loved every second of that one. Avon, meanwhile, is making her way to the headquarters. She's coming out of the subway. Presumably, she took a train to get a little closer. I don't know how traffic works in New York. So I'm assuming that's the best way to get around fairly quick, and I don't know how far away she was, but I'm okay with this. Like, this doesn't seem out of line for me. But meanwhile, she's noticing that HQ is glowing pink, and she calls out to Shredder and says, I think we're a bit on the late side here. And then meanwhile, we see what the Mourner's up to, and it looks like she has become Kinsoon incarnate here. And so I don't know if she's just become a vessel for Kinsoon, or if Kinsoon is just completely brought back. I have no idea. We just see the Demon Fox version here. And so, but then we see the next cover, and we see Mourner here. So I'm a little lost as to what exactly this means. I'm assuming that she is being possessed by the demon fox, but we're not going to see the Kinsune that we've all been more accustomed to when she's in her human form. So I guess we'll see how this one all plays out. But yeah, this is where we end. And I gotta say, this is easily like my favorite issue of the Shredder series. I was okay with Avon. She actually was following orders. She wasn't being completely dismissive of Shredder, and therefore I'm not sitting here wondering why her head's not on a fucking spike. Because Shredder just doesn't tolerate that kind of stuff. Speaking of Shredder, him just being absolutely brutal and vicious in his killing methods, I loved every second of that. How he dealt with King Cobra, who I'm assuming must still be alive, even though he's without a face. I mean, his face was all shredded up before, and he still lives, so I'm assuming he's still around and just looking like Red Skull right now. But the fact that he took off the face of an enemy and then threw it on a different opponent, I like that. I'm like, yes, see, that seems like Shredder to me, and not just somebody who's allowing somebody to just tag along for reasons and also just dismiss any orders he gives. That never made sense to me, and I've gone on and on about that, so I won't continue on too much here. The whole backstory of how he got into New York, that is complete gobbledygook to me. Like, I try to make heads or tails of that. That just doesn't make any sense how he just happened to go to the correct dimension after being let go, after slashing a demon. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And that's really what brings us down. Also, the whole bit with King Cobra, just by happenstance, got the right plane that he's firing rockets at. I'm like, man, you took a real gamble on such a heavily used area for air traffic. I need a little bit more clarity there, but otherwise, I'm pretty good with a lot of this. And honestly, I kind of feel like I'm gonna have to reread the series as a whole once we're all done here. But I feel like we can kind of just go from 1 to 5 and skip out 2, 3, even 4. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just kind of seemed like most of that was not needed because wherever they went, they got very little in the way of progression. So I'm not gonna say issue 5 is good enough. Like, I'm gonna give this like a 6 out of 10. We got some real issues here. But I actually enjoyed reading it. I didn't mind having to read this a couple times. Like, I've had to, I kind of like dragged my feet and groaned a little bit anytime that a new Shredder came up. This one, at least, was more reasonable to read, and I didn't hate my life every time I read it. But it's not strong enough for me to go, yeah, go ahead and check out the whole series. There's really nothing there. Now, apparently, we are going to have some consequences with this series going into the mainline comics. For one, Shredder is back. And also looks like Kitsune is also back. So, what I do want to see if we're bringing back characters is there to be consequences. Now, I haven't mentioned this yet for the mainline series because we've been dealing with Splinter. He's been resurrected. Now, I do feel that there is a consequence of him coming here with the Shinigami. I think her presence there is her presence is there because Splinter is back from the dead. And so I feel that is the consequences given. Because what I don't want to see are characters being resurrected and killed and then resurrected and killed, and it's basically like Dragon Ball Z where death doesn't have a huge meaning. They can just come back at will. I don't want that. I want there to be, if we're going to bring characters back from the dead, there to be like something that offsets it as like a consequence. And I think with Splinter, the Shinigami is the consequence, and without Splinter being back, she would not be a character in this at all. And perhaps she will win and bring Splinter back. So far, I'm not exactly sure what we're dealing with Shredder. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he wasn't dead and just simply banished into a different dimension. But Kitsune coming back, that does need to have some sort of consequence. So, but yeah, that's still not enough for me to go, yeah, check out this series. Because then you'll see Shredder come back. No, I think you can just get it like as a little note, like, oh, see this. Oh, okay, that's where that happened. Gotcha. It's not really worth reading this because most of this has been pretty trash up to this point. I have not been enjoying this series until this issue here. But yeah, that is all I have for today, guys. So until next time, take care and God bless.